Today, we're checking out Fluff's signature overdrive with warm audio, the FLF. So this is pretty rad, right? I mean, Fluff must feel awesome about this. He was the OG. I don't think I need to tell anybody that, but anyone that wasn't really involved in guitar YouTube back in the day, I mean, he was one of the really early guys with like Keith Merrow and Ola that were putting out these super high quality, high gain videos. I thought that that was awesome. I was going to his channel as well as a few others that I'd mentioned for gear suggestions to hear stuff that I didn't have access to. Now, Warm Audio did send this over for me to check out, and I'm glad they did because this feels like a part of guitar YouTube history. And like I said, he was one of the early people that I was watching. He's always been this massive force in the guitar YouTube community. To this day, he's still one of the biggest creators, and that's awesome to see. I love all the success for him. It's a bit of a fun story about Fluff too. I did meet him once. I met him at NAMM. I think it was 2017 or 2018. It was like my third or fourth NAMM, something like that. I was just wandering around and I stumbled upon him and Andy James at the JST booth. They were just kind of shooting the shit. He wasn't setting up yet for his next, I think, demonstration. And he engaged me in conversation after I said hi. We kind of talked about gear a bit and some YouTube stuff. And then he took a picture with me and he said that he wasn't used to having guys so much like taller. I'm a pretty big dude. Even though Fluff is not at all short, he was just not expecting me to be almost a head taller than him. And right when we were about to take the picture, Andy took the picture for us. He like just went and hugged me and it caught me off guard and I ended up laughing, and it was just a good memory from that NAMM. So I'm really stoked to check this out. So Fluff wanted an overdrive that was his ideal overdrive. He's talked about how this kind of started life in a way as the Super Tube overdrive, one from the 80s. It even says Super Tube on it, and a lot of the features will match that, but it's been tweaked and set up for his specifications, and there's some more features on that. So we're going to go over this pretty feature-rich pedal. So like any overdrive, of course, you have your gain, that's your drive, you have your level, and you have a tone. Pretty self-explanatory, but then there's more going on here. The magic really lies in this mid-enhance knob here. The mid-enhance is a sweep that goes from lower mids all the way up to some pretty high mids in the 2000 something K range. And I like it usually hovering around noon. So just above noon, just below noon, right at noon. That's where I feel like it sits best with most amplifiers. And it can depend on the amp, whether it's a more scooped amp or mid-rangey amp, of where you're probably gonna want that. But something cool they added for this as well is there's a switch that allows you to either defeat that entirely, so you don't have the mid-enhance at all, and it's just more like a standard overdrive with the drive, the level, and the tone. Or you can have that extra mid control either be pre or post the gain. Pre the gain would be more like it was originally with the Super Tube. The post on this guy is actually where I tend to like it because I find that it gets more aggressive. Like you'll you'll hear a volume bump, especially when I play with this on a clean channel. So it's louder, but I feel like it makes the mid-range kind of just more aggressive and gnarly in general. And I'm all about that aggression and brutality with Overdrive. So that's where I found that I liked it best. There is also a switch here to switch between like a classic tube screamer, which has more of that low end cut, and then the low B, so to have more low end added. And it's a really nice, clean, kind of musical low end. Like, it doesn't get really farty and distorted. And you'd want that for maybe you're already playing into an amp that's fairly thin and you need to beef it up a little bit, or maybe for like a solo, or if you're using single coils. And then also this is designed to work really well with bass guitars. Now this knob right in the center is a noise gate. Basically that's going to gate off excess noise going into the pedals. So whether it's coming from like your pickups or other pedals that you have plugged into this guy, that'll help cut this off. And you can turn that on or off from the back, and it just takes out of the circuit if you're not using it. I didn't really find myself needing it too much because the pedal's not really all that noisy, and the amps I was using it with aren't super noisy either, but it is nice to have that just to make sure everything is as clean as can possibly be going into your rig, especially if you're doing like a studio recording. So I can definitely understand why he wants that, but it's nothing we're going to mess with too much because you're not really going to hear it much. It's just kind of cleaning stuff up, but you can turn that off here on the back. And then also on the back, this has the voltage boost. So it operates at standard 9 volts. So if you bump this, it's going to operate at 18 volts. It's kind of a hard thing to really show. I will play with it a little bit, both as a boost and on a clean channel, just as an overdrive, but it's less about changing the tone and more about, with the extra voltage, it's gonna have more headroom, so it's gonna be a little bit less compressed. It might sound a little bit smoother. I don't really think it's going to change the sound really all that much from what I was able to determine, but it does change the feel a little bit. It gets a little bit less compressed, and if that's something you want, you do have that option there. Now these come in this white, and it also comes in this teal. I actually prefer the white here with these really awesome like emerald green knobs. I think this thing looks really killer, but your mileage may vary. So that's all the features here. This is a very feature rich overdrive like I was talking about before. They made this very much a Swiss Army knife where it sounds great as a metal boost going into like a high gain amplifier, but also as a regular overdrive, kind of, you know, maybe gain stacking or going onto the clean channel of an amplifier. And they also even had this to tailor it better for bass. I really think they covered a lot of bases with it, and I'm a huge fan of the Super Tube overdrive. I've played the newer ST9 Pro Plus. I've had other variations based around it. One of my favorite things that overdrive is like really good for is into like dual rectifier, American gain structure kind of stuff, which isn't surprising that he based his around this. I'm just speculating here, but he does love his dual recs. That's not a secret. I don't know if anyone else on the internet has extensively covered the dual rectifier and triple rectifier, but mostly dual rectifier as much as Fluff has. I had this going into the burn channel on low gain mode of my Driftwood Purple Nightmare behind me, which is very much an American, like idealized kind of recto mixed a bit with a 5150 kind of spliced together kind of amplifier. And so no surprise, this thing absolutely slayed on that amplifier. That's what you were hearing in the in mix. That's what we're going to hear for the out of mix. So we're going to go into that same burn channel with the exact same setup on the low gain mode. And then we're also going to hear this on the clean channel just so we can hear it as a regular overdrive. I'll be plugging into this with another big YouTuber's guitar. I thought it'd be fitting to have one of the other OG's pieces of gear in this. So this is a Keith Merrow KM Schecter Mark III. And I do have the Dino Cazares Seymour Duncan in that, his machete. And then that whole rig is going to be going into my Iron Man Mark II attenuator. It's not attenuating anything, it's just taking the full load from the amplifier and then sending out the raw signal into my 2 Notes Cab M Plus, and then going into my favorite IR of a Karnivore speaker. So we're going to be hearing this first going into the burn channel, and then it's going to be going into the clean channel after that, so we can hear it both as a boost in a metal high gain context and as an overdrive. So you can see just how versatile this thing really is. Let's check it out. This slays going into the burn channel of my Driftwood Purple Nightmare. Really aggressive, like you could hear the pick attack just jump out. It never got like harsh or shrill or anything. It just made it way more aggressive, and the mid-range of this just sits with that amplifier really, really good. I am definitely stoked on this pedal. I know Fluff is to have his own signature overdrive. I can definitely, after years of watching him, see why he went with this kind of pedal and with the features that he did. I'm just, again, really, really stoked for him. I'm happy to see his continued success, and honestly, I think it's just good for the whole guitar community to just have more cool, awesome stuff out there. I think you're also able to see what I was talking about with him and Warm Audio really voicing this well to be kind of a Swiss Army knife. Like, yeah, it is really, really aggressive and metal sounding as a boost, but it's also a pretty good sounding overdrive with like a lot of different sounds that you can get out of it as well. That versatility you don't get a lot of. Like, normally when you have an overdrive that's really good for metal, it's not so much good as an overdrive. And usually when you have an overdrive that's really good as just an overdrive, it's usually not going to be as good as a boost, or at least not have all the features or tones you're going to want, especially for modern metal. And I think that this did a more than really good job at both. So I'm gonna have a link to check this out down below, but I would love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, if you've gotten to try this yet, or if you're interested in it. If you're like me and you've been watching Fluff and these other YouTube guys for years, and you're just stoked to see that this guy that almost feels like a friend at this point, because we've been watching his content so long, that he's got his own signature overdrive. I would love to talk to you in the comments down below, but thanks for watching. Stay metal.